So I wanted to ask you the state of central monitoring right now. Where do things stand in terms of how it affects the end user and where new emerging technology is going to come into play?
So the state of central monitoring has, for many, many years, has been an intrusion and fire game. And over these last 10 to 12, maybe the early adopters, 15 years, the monitoring of video products has not only emerged, but has almost become predominant. We talk a lot about whether installing a video system that's properly configured for monitoring could replace the need for an intrusion system altogether. And there are multiple companies in our industry who are focused specifically to that end. Their real effort is to help the monitoring centers cross the chasm to the next generation of services to be offered, because there is a common belief that intrusion monitoring is closer to its saturation point, and the use of video technologies is helping. But what's interesting is that there's not enough time in the day for operators to sit around and watch video screens. So if there isn't a strong AI presence and AI does not just continue to blossom over the next 5 to 10 years, we're not going to find ourselves in a better position. People are just going to be trying to watch and process more data. What we need to do is reduce that data down to what the operators really need to see. And that is the secret sauce.
Now, how does that play into the business goal of the end user?
Well, the goal of the end user is to find better security, be less of a distraction to its own people, keep its people safe, and reduce its cost. And if AI on top of video surveillance can do all of those things, then I think it will be a strong value for the future.
Now, that brings in all of the other sensors. It's been sensor mania for probably 10 years or more, with IoT devices and a variety of other devices being brought into the market. Where does that come in when you have such intelligence within cameras alone?
Well, sensors are still very important, I believe. I think most of the really successful enterprise-level software companies are developing the integrations between the sensors and the appliances and the cameras, maybe the alarm systems, in order to create the if-then scenarios that are necessary. But the if-thens are getting extended. So now it's if-then, 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 and it's all turning up into notifying the customer. Whether the notification is via an alert or a text message, or it's through a monitoring center where professionals are paying attention and figuring out what to alert the end customer about and what not to. I see both of those cases as very real for the future.
Now, looking at some of the critical scenarios of those if then, how will AI and those sorts of applications be able to help analysts respond to those complex scenarios more effectively?
Well, first of all, just keeping the unnecessary alarms off their plate. I think that's our biggest challenge in the world right now. I guess I believe that there's somewhere between 600 and 1,000 video monitoring centers operating today around the world. That number may be a little bit light, but I'm tallying it from all of the different video monitoring software companies and kind of how many different monitoring centers they're serving. And the biggest problem all of them have is false positive alarms. They all need better reduction of false positive alarms because it's pure operator cost. If you think about a monitoring center, it really is a call center with highly trained operators. And if you can reduce just 15% of the activity that they have to handle, you can make the entire organization more effective. And if you can reduce 60 or 70 or 80% of the false positives, the time savings can make the entire operation more effective.
And then it also has cost savings for the organization and retention benefits, because it's discouraging to have to respond to so many false positives.
Yes.
And then that operator, if they reduce those alarms, I would assume that they would feel a little bit more fulfilled in their role, that they are not just chasing down rabbit holes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think at the end of the day, if I had handled some things that were real and saw them all the way through to a police dispatch or a police apprehension, I would feel really good about my day. And if I spent all day processing things that weren't real, I'd probably be pretty miserable.
And then that leads to more complacency, because you feel these all have been false positives, so that one probably is too.
Absolutely.
You have that crying wolf issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And some of the monitoring centers are dealing with that a lot. Some of the bigger, I'm going to call them medium-sized monitoring centers. Monitoring centers that are handling more than 10,000 camera subscriptions. A lot of them are only putting AI on 5 to 20% of their cameras. They're doing so because when they sold that customer account 5 years ago, they didn't contemplate the AI.
Yeah.
And now they're asking themselves, this is what I'm charging the customer, this is what we're making. And if I go pay a vendor, an AI company, on a per camera basis, it's kind of eating into my profit margin. So they all have to sit down one at a time and go through the math of reducing number of actions to an operator and what that costs the budget of the center. And as they reduce that cost, is it worth paying an AI vendor to offset the savings? And I think that they're all finding that it does over time. But sometimes multi-layered organizations, large commercial conglomerates, they still have to report to corporate that they've got an expense coming.
Yeah.
And corporate challenges them to prove that it's actually going to be a savings. And that can be a 6 to 12 or 18 month process. So some of our customers move more slowly than others.
So this is the near term of where AI is now and how it can affect monitoring now. Where do you see it coming in the next 5 years or so?
Well, I think we're going to see a lot more automation in monitoring patrols, automation in everything that reduces the amount of manpower necessary to do a good job for the customer. And so some of our monitoring center software partners are building that kind of functionality into their products today and doing a really, really good job with it. One of those partners is Imix, and they have introduced an auto patrol feature that is powered by Actuate. And we believe that that's going to really change the game for a lot of their central station customers.